Hi, thanks for joining me in the garden today. And what have I got on today? It's always maintenance in the garden. When you have a nice large garden, there's always something to do. So I've got to stay on track, because when I'm in the garden I always get distracted and say, oh, that plant needs a bit of a prune, that plant needs a bit of a prune, and before you know it, I've been out here for an hour and I haven't done what I wanted to do. So my mission today is to deadhead my roses and to do a little bit of pruning. Now, some of my roses, they're all grafted. The graft has died and the rootstock has taken over, and that's growing prolifically. It's sending out big shoots. They do have flowers on them. They're sort of like a dog rose. They're sort of like, there is a rose on them. They're all the same colour. They're all like a maroon colour, deep red maroon colour. The flowers aren't really formed. I like the hybrid tea roses. But anyway, that's beside the point. What I've got to do is cut back some of those shoots because they're just getting really long. I'm not digging those out yet because it does actually put something in the garden and gives me a little bit of colour. But in winter, I've already ordered my stock, my bare-rooted roses, and I've ordered 5. So I'll be replacing those in winter. But for the time being, I need to deadhead and I need to prune roses. So come along with me and I'll show you how I do that. So besides my secateurs, which are in my pocket, so I don't know if you can see, I wear an apron when I garden, because that way I've got a great big pocket in the front and I can put all my tools in there. So I've got these are Fiskars. I'm not sponsored, but these are the brand that I use, and I also use these scissors when I'm doing dressmaking, so very, very good brand. I've got my rose pruning gloves. So these gloves come right up. They protect my arms, and seriously, some of my roses have got massive thorns on them and they don't get through. I can grab it round the stem, give it a cut, and I'm good to go. So they're the 2 things that I'm going to be needing. Other things that I could be using, sorry, I'm just going through my little bucket of tools here. Got one of these. This is an electric pruner. So that saves my hands, and I only use that on the bigger ones. It doesn't give a nice clean cut like my Fiskars secateurs, so that's why I don't use that. And then I've also got a small pair of loppers for some of the bigger ones as well. And if need be, I've got my saw, but I don't think I'll be doing that type of heavy pruning today, but I bring it just in case. The other thing I always have with me out in the garden, bottles of water. So I've got 2 bottles of water. I usually go through that in about an hour. Anyway, let's get started. And you can see I'm wearing a hat. I've already put on sunscreen. I wear a moisturiser with sunscreen in it, but I've applied moisturiser to all my exposed skin. Not moisturiser, sunscreen. All right, let's get this happening. Now, before I get started, I'll just give you a little tour of my roses, so you'll be able to see the start and finish. So here's the first rose that I've got in the garden, and you can see it is quite tall. That would be over 2 meters tall. It's got lots of nice buds at the top, so I'm not cutting those off, but I will be pruning some of the spent ones. You can see there's some there. This one's the same, it's got some spent ones in amongst the new growth. So we'll go along. This one hasn't really grown that well. That one's been in for 12 months now. Been very slow to take off, but yeah, you can see new growth there. This is a beautiful pink rose. Just look at how magnificent that is. I don't know if the colour will show on the screen as beautiful as it is. Absolutely beautiful rose, but you can see there's a lot of spent buds on there, and if I keep cutting those off, I'll keep getting new blooms. Look at the colour of this one. Absolutely beautiful. Not too much to prune on there. I've done that one fairly recently. Okay, let's go over to the other side. This is my bonus rose, and I call it that because somebody I knew was selling their house. The house was going to be demolished, or they thought it would be. So they said, come in and take whatever you want from the garden. So I got 3 rose bushes. Beautiful yellow down there. Again, that was a new one, and it's taking a while to establish itself. All those need pruning off. That's actually a peachy colour, but it's been in the sun for a while, so it's faded. This is a blue moon, and again, it's got a spent bloom on there which has faded. Now, this looks like one of them that's growing. You can see at the bottom, it's growing from the rootstock. So that'll get a prune. Here's a beautiful colour. Let's see if you can see the colour of this one. There you go. It's a deep, deep pink, orangey colour. This is a floribunda. That definitely needs pruning back. It's very unruly. Look at all the new growth on this one. I pruned that. I've pruned them all recently. Right, this is what I was talking about with the rootstock growing. So you can see how it just grows out, grows quite long, doesn't have many flowers on it. That's going to be pruned right back, and eventually that will be pulled out. There's another floribunda. The first one was pink, this one's white. Again, it needs a big prune. So all the reddish growth you can see is all new growth. This one's a funny one, how it's growing. Have a look down the bottom. You can see there is a shoot from the graft, 2 shoots. One's growing very well. Yeah, that all needs pruning back. Just one big shoot, so we need to encourage some growth there. Here's another one. It's the same as the one I showed you before, that beautiful pink colour. It's got beautiful blooms on it. Got a red one behind there. That's a Lincoln. Another floribunda. And this one, beautiful yellow. You can tell I like this colour pink. How many of them do I have? Here's a carpet rose. That's been in for years. Yeah, it does spread a lot, and I do cut it back quite heavily. So you can see a lot of them haven't really got much growth because I did prune them quite heavily. This one has got growth from the rootstock. I can see it down the bottom, but it's also got some growth from the graft, so I need to cut all that rootstock growth back. Now this one here, I cut it back a lot just before Christmas. Normally this one, it's a beautiful pink rose and it grows really tall, but the frangipani has grown now and encroached on its space and it's giving it shade, so it's not growing anywhere near as good as it used to. But in winter it'll get full sun, and yeah, we get flowers all year round with the roses, so let's get pruning. There's a beautiful breeze out today. It'll keep me cool. So when I'm taking off the spent blooms, like in this one here, you can see there's a spent bloom there. This one's okay, it's just on the side of a shoot. So it's just on the side of a shoot and there's buds up on top. So I'm just going to cut that straight off, add a bit of an angle so that the water doesn't pool on the cut, and I accidentally cut off a bloom there, so you can see the spent. I should have been more careful with that, but I'm trying to hold the camera, look through the viewfinder and do this job, so just not as easy. Okay, just want to show you another one, how I'm going to cut it back. Okay, so here we go here. Now this one here goes all the way down. Goes all the way down. You can see there's the spent bloom. I'm following it all the way back and I'm going to cut it off where it joins in. So this one here that I've just done, you can see where the join is, where it's been grafted. And you can see that I've just cut a whole lot of stuff along below that join. So I've been cutting the growth from the rootstock and retaining the growth from the actual rose, from the graft. So let's hope we get some more growth from that graft and the rootstock doesn't keep growing. Okay, so job's finished and we'll go and have a look at the finished result.